We'll now call the meeting to order, and the time is 5:02. We'll now proceed with item number 2, approval of the agenda. That the agenda for the Committee of Adjustment meeting of Wednesday, May 28th, 2025 be approved as presented. Do I have a mover and a seconder to adopt the agenda as presented? Great. Yeah. All in favor? Motion is carried. Are there any declarations of interest? None? None. Okay. Item 4.1 is a motion to approve the minutes of the previous meeting held on April 2nd, 2025. The recommendation reads that the Committee of Adjustments minutes dated April 2nd, 2025 be accepted as presented. Do I have a mover and a seconder for this motion? Craig? Jim? All in favor? Any discussion on the minutes? I'm sorry, I should have asked that first. Any discussion?
I didn't find any errors.
No, no discussion? Okay. Then I'll call the question. All in favor? Motion is carried. Item 5.1 is a recommendation that the Committee of Adjustment approve the following minor variance. And the recommendation reads that the Committee of Adjustment approve minor variance application MV 2025-001 for the property municipally addressed as 557 Henry Street West. To obtain relief from the variance to the maximum lot coverage requirement for an accessory structure on a residential zone to construct a new 78.04 square meter detached garage in the rear yard. Section 4.2.1 accessory uses of C, accessory uses, maximum lot coverage. So the request to increase the maximum lot coverage requirement of an accessory structure in a residential zone from 10% or to a maximum of 60 square meters to a maximum of 10% or to a maximum of 78.04 square meters. Subject to the following conditions: that the committee's decision is based on the approved concept drawing attached to the notice of decision. Any minor revisions to the plan must comply with the general intent of the proposal, comply with the approved variances and all other requirements of the zoning bylaw. Any alterations or revisions which are considered major and no longer meet the general intent of the approved plan may be required to undergo additional approval. That the owner applicant shall provide the building department with a copy of the notice of decision and the approved concept plan drawing attached to the notice as part of the building permit application submission. Do I have a mover and a seconder for discussion purposes? Craig, Jim, and Tim, sorry?
Might I note my own error?
Yes.
In the motion, it refers to the application as MV 2025-001. The correct reference is MV 2025-003.
-003. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Tim Fisher, municipal planner, will speak to the report. Mr. Fisher.
Yes, hello, Madam Chair. I won't go into the purpose and effect because you've already covered that. However, the subject property is located on the east of Ann Street and west of St. Lawrence, and is adjacent to single-family and two-family dwellings to the north, east, south, and west. The Committee of Adjustment must be satisfied that the variance meets all 4 tests of the review tests. Failure to meet one or more of the tests will automatically result in a denial. The first test is, does the application maintain the general intent and purpose of the official plan? The subject property is designated as residential in the official plan. And subject to the policies of 2.1.2, the residential designation permits a variety of residential uses which are categorized based on density. Accessory uses which are associated with the principal residential use are permitted subject to the requirements of the zoning bylaw. The single-family dwelling and the detached garage conform with the residential policies of the official plan. Does the application maintain the general intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw? The property is zoned low-density residential R1 zone in the zoning bylaw, which permits a single-family dwelling. Where a lot is devoted to a permitted use, an accessory use building structure is authorized subject to the following provisions of section 4.2.1. Is the application minor in nature? The proposal maintains the residential character of the neighborhood, and the variance is anticipated to have no negative impacts on the abutting lands or inhibit their continued enjoyment of their property. The proposed garage will comply with the maximum lot coverage of 10% for the accessory structure, as the structure itself will only be 7% lot coverage. However, the structure itself is larger than the maximum square footage, which requires 60 square meters of maximum floor area, and they are requesting 78 square meters. The subject property is a double lot, which can accommodate a larger accessory structure while still complying with the maximum percentage of lot coverage for an accessory structure. The proposed garage will be in keeping with existing detached garages in the neighborhood and will provide the owner with secured parking and storage for household items. As a condition of approval, we request that the owner applicant shall provide a copy of the notice of decision to the building department and obtain a building permit prior to construction. And final, is the application desirable for the appropriate development or use of the land, building, or structure? The proposed detached garage and its requested variance to increase the maximum size of the accessory structure is deemed to be appropriate in development and use of the parcel. The proposed garage will not dominate the rear yard and will comply with the maximum 10% lot coverage for the accessory structure. The increased size of the garage will provide, again, secure indoor parking while providing storage for household items. The location of the proposed garage from the lot lines and the maximum height complies with the requirements of the zoning bylaw and is not anticipated to interfere with the existing drainage. The structure will be located in the rear yard, which will make use of the existing driveway and will not be visible from the road, nor will it have any negative impacts on the traffic or the character of the streetscape. The applicant has demonstrated that the development will comply with the remaining requirements of the R1 zone. Signage was posted on the property, and a total of 24 property owners fell within the 60-meter notification radius, which were notified by regular mail dated May 12th, 2025. Our recommendation is that the Committee of Adjustment approve the minor variance application subject to the recommendation in the report. I leave this in your hands.
Thank you. Is there any discussion on item 5.1?
What, did anybody?
Yes, yes, you may.
Did anybody call in and have any complaints?
Through you, Madam Chair, no,
Yes.
I've received no written comments or telephone calls.
Yes, thank you. I was down there and to me, it's great because I mean, I'm a guy that likes a bigger garage too, so I don't see anything wrong with it.
I have no questions, Chair. Comments?
No, I didn't. I drove by it today, took a look, and I don't see any issues with it. I'll now call the question. All in favor? Motion is carried. Item 5.2 is a recommendation that the Committee of Adjustment approve the following consent application. And the recommendation reads that the Committee of Adjustment provisionally approve consent application SEV 2025-002 for consent to sever a 7,000 square meter parcel of land with 18 meters of road frontage on Claxton Terrace and retain a 62,346 square meters parcel of undeveloped land with frontage on Boundary Street and Churchill Street, subject to the following conditions. So, timeline. As per section 53 of the Planning Act, the owner applicant has up to 2 years from the date of mailing of the notice of decision to satisfy all conditions of consent. Failure to meet the anniversary date will result in the application lapsing and the file is closed. Certificate of official. Number 2, certificate of official, that the owner applicant instruct their lawyer to prepare a draft certificate of official and provide a copy to the Secretary Treasurer for review. All conditions of provisional approval must be satisfied prior to signing and releasing the certificate of official. The owner applicant or the lawyer shall provide a copy of the registered certificate of official for our records. Number 3, survey. The owner applicant shall provide a paper and digital PDF copy of the final registered plan, R-plan, to the Secretary Treasurer for our files, and that the plan meets the general intent of the approved consent sketch. It may be beneficial to have the draft plan provided to the Secretary Treasurer for review prior to registration. Do I have a mover and seconder for discussion purposes? Craig, Jim?
I don't have any choice.
And Tim Fisher, Municipal Planner, will speak to the report. Mr. Fisher.
Yes, through there, Madam Chair. Thank you for the rundown on the application here. So this is a consent application which proposes to sever off a smaller section in order to begin the phased development of the larger overall development on this property. The severed portion itself, they're looking at constructing 2 residential buildings on there, and they would be subject to future applications for zoning bylaw amendment and also for site plan control. We have received a zoning bylaw amendment application, and we will be processing that and notifying neighbors within a 120-meter radius of that property. As I said, the zoning bylaw, as it states, there is split zoning on the property. However, the zoning bylaw amendment will harmonize the zoning to allow the proposed development here. The proposed size and area comply with the requirements of the zoning bylaw and comply with the official plan policies for the residential policies in the official plan there. Where are we here? Notification. Approximately 74 property owners who fell within the 60-meter notification radius were notified by mailing, which was dated May 12th, 2025. And signage was posted on all road frontages of the property as well, too. We did receive 1 phone call and no written objections. The phone call was just a general inquiry about the proposed development that was happening there. Again, we recommend provisional approval of consent, which does not grant approval of the lot being created today. It actually will provide an owner with a list of conditions which they would be required to satisfy within a 2-year timeline. Failure to meet that anniversary date is going to render the application as lapsed and closed. I will leave this in your hands.
Thank you. Is there any discussion on item 5.2? Jim?
Yes, I do. Madam Chair, perhaps you through to Mr. Fisher. I see in a report that CPR has made comments and you've indicated that their development comments and they will be taken care of through the zoning process. I'm just wondering if the zoning process comes to a conclusion, it can either be passed or refused. What would happen with the severance at that point? If the zoning is refused, if I can put it that way.
Yeah, so what we can do is have a condition that ties it to obtaining a zoning bylaw amendment. So that we can come up with some wording in regards to that. That's not a problem. The CN comments that did come in were pretty much their standard development comments in regards to setbacks. You know, what the owner's requirements would be if they were to develop the property. Through the consent process, it didn't make sense to apply it because they would, as a condition of consent, there would be no condition to fulfill. So it would make more sense to tie that to the zoning bylaw process, which if it required special setbacks or requirements, we can put those special setbacks and that within the specialized zoning. And we can also apply the requirements through the site plan agreement process as well too. So it didn't make sense to go through and put them in as conditions.
I'm fine with that, Chair.
Okay.
Thank you.
Craig?
Well, I'd be curious to see if there's anybody in the audience speaking on that, like want to
Mhm.
comment on this.
All right. Yes? Name? Did you?
Me?
Yeah, you were shaking your head, yes?
Yeah,
for us, we live at 837 Claxton.
Yeah.
We were concerned about the zoning in general, whether it be row houses going in. I believe now it's zoned as R2. Is that correct?
Yeah.
We were wondering if it was going to be zoned as R3
Mhm.
to put up apartment buildings. Just with our cul-de-sac, it's busy enough as it is right now, and our frontage is very small, parking is limited, wintertime maintenance, stuff like that. It's very limited for the apartment buildings. They plow all at once, they park on the roads. It's access in and out is very busy as it is. And for us, our main concern is if we put up 2 50-unit buildings, the traffic and for the pedestrians and stuff like that, as we have no sidewalks or anything like that either.
So it's my understanding that today we're talking about just the severance.
Yeah.
So we're not going into the designation yet for that property, but I understand what you're saying. And my understanding is in the future, the plan is that it would be 2 3-story, 18-unit buildings. Is that correct? 18 units or
Maybe Mr. Fisher can speak to that.
Mr. Fisher?
65 units.
Yes, through Madam Chair. There'll be 2 residential buildings with approximately 18 units in each.
36.
Right. Yeah. So, yeah, sir,
No, only if you're finished.
go ahead.
876 Claxton Terrace.
Okay,
I have a question, a prediction, and a comment. Might sound silly, but will this be voted on tonight,
the severance?
the seventh?
Yes.
Okay, I have a prediction, and I'm not trying to be rude, but it doesn't matter what any of us here say, the committee's gonna approve it anyway. Because I watched the video from November of 2023, and the very last 2 minutes of the meeting, the chair of the Committee of Adjustment said, unless you can give us a reason, legal reason why this shouldn't be done, we're gonna vote yes. And I found that very disturbing.
Okay.
My comment is, I grew up around the corner of Claxton Terrace,
Mhm.
and Claxton Terrace was a small crescent. It's not a through street. You couldn't put up a traffic light. It's not meant to handle. It was meant originally for some row houses. Then they put up 2 4 units on the far side. Now they put more units at the end. And to increase this, it's absolutely crazy. It's absolutely crazy. If you're gonna put a subdivision there, come off either Howe Terrace or Boundary Street, or create a new road somewhere near the auto parts store. But don't come in off Claxton. It's the very worst thing you can do. Like, I grew up there and it was a nice little residential street. And it's not meant for this much traffic.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
it's crazy. And I also asked the Committee of Adjustments, this guy here was absolutely right. If you go at 8 in the morning or noon or 4, when the cars are coming and going.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And I asked the Committee of Adjustment if they've ever gone up and parked at 4:30 when everybody's coming home. Have they ever gone up at 4:30 and parked and watched the traffic? It's bad enough now and it will be crazy. Don't do this. Don't do this.
So
Come
are
off-
you saying,
come off Boundary,
are you saying don't do the severance or don't do the development?
whatever you want.
Okay, because tonight we're just speaking to the severance. We're not-
Then don't do the severance. Then don't do the.
Well, the
severance.
landowner has the right to ask for a severance of his
You don't have the
property.
right to vote yes or no.
We do,
Okay,
absolutely.
I guess that's all my comments. I grew up right there and I played in that little circle right there every day and it wasn't meant for.
Development.
It's not a street, it's a crescent. You
Right.
can't put a stoplight there. Is it the same owner severing off the parcel?
I believe it's the same owner, Tim,
Okay.
that owns the entire property.
There's no reason you can't come off Howe Terrace, which is a street. And there's no reason you can't come off Boundary Street, which is a street. If he's gonna develop the rest, and he is, come off Howe Terrace and then he'd only have to go.
Yeah, I don't
800 feet.
know if we know what the plan is for the traffic.
Everybody knows it's gonna be multi-user.
So I,
residential.
Tim.
Land is so expensive now.
Yep.
They're gonna put up as many floors as they can to squeeze as many units on a severance. That's just the way business is now.
Okay, Tim, can you have something to say?
Yes, through Madam Chair. Just to clarify a couple of matters, you are correct. We're dealing with just the land itself. And yes, they are proposing to construct 2 residential structures on the property that will hold 18 units. Both of them will be approximately 3 stories in height. Now, that development will be scrutinized through the zoning bylaw amendment phase. So that process, we would be asking for a bunch of studies, and one of them would be, one of them would be a traffic impact assessment. And if it comes back saying that what they are proposing requires upgrades or require a different entrance of some sort, we would be reviewing that and making our decision based on that that report. If we determine that it requires a peer review, we will have that sent out for a peer review as well. Again, there would be a number of studies that would be required, and a number of departments which would be reviewing this this proposal to ensure that it will have minimal impact onto the adjacent landowners here.
Okay, thank you, Tim. Yes.
Thank you, Chair. Just
Mhm.
certainly that was the issue that I brought up, was the zoning condition. So the committee, the planning report indicates to committee and members of the public here that this is for the severance only, and the Committee of Adjustment is dealing with the severance only. The zoning process and site plan controls, another process, a couple other processes. And so from what Mr. Fisher told us, my request is that we have a condition on this application that the zoning has to be approved. If the zoning isn't approved, then the severance is not approved. It's conditional on the zoning. So I think we need some wording for that. And I understand the concerns that residents of the area have. And it's going to fall for me down to the zoning of the properties. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Craig, anything?
No, I just concur with
Yeah.
Jim that this
Yeah.
is just severance, and all the conditions that everybody's talking about
Mhm.
need to be done at the zoning part
Mhm.
and make a conditional. I agree 100% with you.
Yeah, okay, thank you for that clarification. Thanks, Tim. Any other discussion from the audience?
The roadway, Terry Power 877 Boundary Street. The roadway from the severed land across the retained land, is that going in like first phase, or is this part of zoning?
I don't know anything about that. I don't even know if, like, at this point, we're just talking about the zoning, so I don't know. I don't know what the plan is. Anything else?
With this zoning, it all carries an H1 designate, I believe. Does that change anything?
I,
I think Mr. Fisher has that, but it looks like H2 on our map. It's a holding zone. Mr. Fisher can confirm that.
Tim?
Yes, through Madam Chair, that is a holding provision, and that's a holding provision there to ensure that the applicant will go through certain processes and certain applications and obtain certain reports and studies prior to any development happening on the property.
Okay.
It's kind of a catch fall type of thing. So.
Okay. Any other comments, questions? No? Okay. All right. I'll now call the question. Pardon me?
Is the committee wishing to entertain
The
the fourth condition?
fourth condition being,
The zoning condition.
yeah, so how do we reword that?
We can do it.
Okay.
Perhaps Mr. Fisher has verbiage in mind that would satisfy the desire
Okay.
for that zoning provision. And we could entertain a motion to amend
Okay.
the recommendation to include a fourth condition, as stipulated, the condition, the three conditions being the timeline, the certificate, and the survey.
Okay. So the fourth condition would be the severance condition upon the bylaw change, or the zoning change, I should say.
So Mr. Fisher has provided a fourth item through you,
Yeah.
Madam Chair. So it would be number 4, zoning. The applicant shall obtain a zoning bylaw amendment for the proposed development prior to the issuance of the certificate of official.
Okay. Okay.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Excuse me, Madam Chair, Terry Carter again. Has anybody done a study on whether apartments are needed
Are needed?
development in this town?
Well, I know part of the official plan, yes, the intensification of housing for the community absolutely is part of the official plan, and provincial plan as well for housing. Okay.
Sorry, Madam Chair.
That's okay. No rush.
We should probably make sure you sign. I did on the sheet.
Sign on the attendant? Yeah. Did everybody sign on the attendance? Yes? Yes? Great, thank you. All right.
So through you, Madam Chair,
Yep.
we would entertain a motion to amend to add condition 4 as read. And then we'll go back and read the original motion. Well, we can call the vote on the original. And that
Okay.
will be passed as a blended.
Okay, so I need to go through these again?
No.
No, just this one.
So it will be a subsidiary motion
Okay,
to add this.
okay,
We'll vote on that, and then it will seem odd, but we will then vote again to pass the original motion,
Okay.
which will then have the blended to it.
okay. So I'm asking so condition number 4, right? Would be that zoning would be the condition that the applicant shall obtain a zoning bylaw amendment for the proposed development prior to the issuance of the certificate of official. So that part we're voting on separately from, or
So you're
all
adding-
blended.
voting whether to add that condition.
Okay, so now we need to vote on whether to add that. So do I have a mover and a seconder? Craig and Jim, all in favor? All right, and now we're going to vote on all the other conditions, including number 4. And I'll now mover and a seconder, right? No,
We have those.
we have those. Okay, all in favor? Carried. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, that was a little confusing. All right, so item 5.3 is a recommendation that the Committee of Adjustment approve the following fence variance request. And the recommendation reads that the Committee of Adjustment grant a variance to section 4.12A of bylaw 09-2009 zoning bylaw for the interior side yard fence at 562 King Street West to permit a fence with a height of 2.5 meters or 8 feet, because the general intent and purpose of the bylaw are maintained. Do I have a mover and seconder for discussion purposes? Craig and Jim. And Sean Merriman, Manager, Building and Bylaw, will speak to the report.
Staff were made aware that a fence had been constructed at 570 Street West without a permit. Following a discussion with the owner regarding the application requirement, the owner was advised that in order for the fence to remain, both a building or fence application and a minor variance application would be required to be submitted. Staff would like to say that the owner was very cooperative. It truly felt like it was a mistake and error, not an indication that he was trying to avoid the requirements of the town's processes. Both applications were received in April 2025 by the building department, and the submitted minor variance application includes a request for the fence height to be permitted at 2.5 meters or 8 feet. This does exceed maximum height by 0.5 meters. That is stipulated as maximum height allowed in the zoning bylaw. And when we were talking with the owner, it's really quite simple. The fence at current height maximum allowed in the zoning bylaw did not assist them in the privacy needs of the occupants that actually live at that structure. So under section 4.12AI of the bylaw, the interior side yard fence, the maximum height along an interior side or rear yard lot line shall be 2 meters, measured from the average grade. This fence runs between the dwelling and an accessory building in the rear yard with a total length of 10 meters or about 32 feet. This fence is not actually on the lot line like it would be with most fences, as it is serving the purposes of the owner in the dwelling itself. And it's the driveway. So when you take a look at the picture, you can see the driveway runs right along. So this driveway belongs to this house, and this is the fence that we are talking about here. So as you know, when we get into any sort of variance, we're looking at the 4 tests. Is the variance minor in nature? Is the proposal desirable for the appropriate development and use of the land? And does it meet the general intent and purpose of the official plan and zoning bylaw? So in all honesty, it's a fence. Fences are meant in a residential area. It's zoned R1. Fences are very much encouraged for the people to use in relation to their yard and their enjoyment. So the fact that it's in the zoning bylaw means that it was an allowed use. So this is just simply a variance to slightly adjust the height that would normally be allowed. We did submit this request to all the departments within the town, and at this point, all the departments had no concerns with it. At the time this report was submitted, we had no written correspondence in opposition to the variance request. However, we were aware that at least one owner had expressed verbal concerns, and in fact, this owner did reach out to us today and provided us with this paper that's been provided to you as well, just shortly before 1 p.m. this afternoon. This basically the report. We would recommend as staff that it be granted. We defer to you guys, of course, to make the decision. And that is my report.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Sean. All right, committee, is there any discussion on item 5.3?
Well, I didn't get that piece of paper.
You didn't get that?
What is it?
There you go.
What's the complete?
So I don't know, is the person that wrote the letter, are they here? Yes, that's you. Okay.
Better.
Did you want to hear from the resident then? Go ahead, sir. It's Todd, right?
Yeah, it's Todd. I live at 550 King Street West. I mean, I won't regurgitate the entire letter, but I think the 3 points I have would be, this is a retroactive application.
Mhm.
So despite the fact that it's been reported that it was perhaps an honest mistake, I mean, I think that you're setting a precedent here where you're rewarding that behavior. I think that the other parts that I've seen in this meeting so far, people are asking for permission before going ahead and constructing something like this. I also think that it's not really suitable for the area. Like the area where we live is a lot of heritage homes. My home was built in 1855. There's a lot of pride of ownership. I mean, part of the reason why I moved here was for that reason. And you hear the term Prescott Pride or Prescott Proud a lot. I don't think there's anything to be proud about with this fence. And I guess lastly, I don't feel that, I think there needs to be more than just the desire for privacy or aesthetics to approve a variance, to approve this variance. I think that you're setting a bit of a precedence here. What's to stop me from saying I want a 10-foot fence on my property? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, once you open this door, so I would say that I don't agree with this. I would say that you don't approve it for all these reasons, and there's a few other in the notes.
Okay. And is the homeowner here?
I am.
Yeah, did you wish to speak?
At 562. Just so you understand, there was an existing fence that was exactly in the same spot with the gate in the same spot, and it was deteriorating, and I repaired it, not realizing I needed a permit. And when we repaired it, we added the 2 feet, and I thought that was within the allowance in the town. So when it came to my attention that I'd done something wrong, we immediately filed the paperwork for that. I have someone in the house that got a chronic spine injury, and just behind the fence is a single jacuzzi for that person to get some relief. And the fence just prevents the second story from the next house from looking directly into the courtyard. The two feet was my feeling on that. If your committee insists that we remove the 2 feet, we can do that. But I just wanted you to understand that that's how everything unfolded. And I didn't realize initially that I needed the permit to repair the fence that was already there, but I was concerned about the fence that was there because of the age and the state of it.
And sorry, when did you replace the fence and add the extra 2 feet?
It would have been just in the fall, probably October, November. That's yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, thank you,
So my
sir.
apologies for that.
Thank you, thank you.
Can I respond to something? Yeah.
Sure.
I'd just like to say that that's my house, that has the second floor windows, and the only window that would remotely look down into that courtyard is the master bedroom, and it wouldn't, you have no visual. The only other one is in the master bath, and it actually has an applique on it, so there's no way that if there was an additional privacy need, we were never able to look down into in fact, I didn't even know they had a hot tub there until Chris just said it. So, and I'd like to, just one other point, they replaced, he is correct, I mean, the fence there was dilapidated and falling down. There's another section of the fence, the exact same fence, that is in the same state that wasn't replaced. So there was a selected decision here to only replace a portion of the fence and to exceed the bylaw.
Okay. Jim, did you have a comment?
Yes, I did go on Google Earth and I did see the previous fence there. I've driven by this property probably dozens and dozens of times, and I've never noticed this fence. I did see it unusual when I opened the report, and I'm used to looking at fences with a horizontal fence boards rather than vertical. So that struck me as a little unusual. And I see the door in the same place as the other one was, but I do have a question for Sean. I think or Mr. Merriman rather, I think I did see reference to a fence bylaw on some of this report. So I'll ask Sean to speak to, does this fence meet the fence bylaw? And is there anything on fences regarding horizontal versus vertical fence board?
Through you, Madam Chair. Actually, no, neither the zoning bylaw or the fence bylaw, which is more specific to pool enclosures and stuff. They both have relatively the same height. I do find it a little funny, they're just a smidgen different, but this happens, right? But no, there's actually nothing in our zoning bylaw or fence bylaw that gets into how a fence shall be constructed or what's considered aesthetically pleasing to one person over the other. I will say this, although the town is certainly full of heritage, these properties that are involved, neither the one requesting it or the one that has concerns are designated a heritage in our town. It's not that they're not heritage, it's just they're not designated. And kind of like you said, in all honesty, the fence can really only be seen by one person. In general, the public will not see it. And as you know from driving around this town, we have numerous fences that have been given variances, including for additional height for privacy. So.
Yeah, Craig?
So there was no other concerns?
No, no one else in the audience? No?
Well, I'd like to say that I did go by this property.
Yep.
And the gentleman said that there are some beautiful houses along there. Let's face it, there are gorgeous homes. This gentleman's home is also gorgeous. He's also got pride in ownership. And that fence doesn't have, I cannot see where that fence would be a problem.
If you're not looking out the corner of your eye.
You can't even see
in
it.
half a second at normal speed, you wouldn't even see it. Because we're also looking for a variance.
Yeah.
So we knew about his house, so we went and passed and I introduced myself to the owner. And I actually had to ask him, where's the fence?
Yeah.
And I'm at the end of the driveway and it's right there, but he had to point it out to me. So as far as it being an eyesore, not a chance. He's done a great job. It looks good, nice and clean. I don't have an issue.
Okay.
I don't live there, but I don't have an issue.
Jim?
I think, yeah, and I wasn't meaning to downplay your aesthetic issues either. I'm driving by. I know you're probably the one that sees the fence, so everybody beauty's in the eye of the beholder, of course. So, and Mr. Croy indicated a hot tub there. I know you didn't see it, but it's a second story situation beside the property. So I'm gonna, taking Mr. Croy at his word that, there is some privacy issue there. So I'm okay with the variance.
Okay.
And I thank everybody for their input.
Craig?
Yeah, I agree with the privacy.
Okay.
thing that-
Yeah, I drive by that, that direction all the time to Brockville. Never noticed the fence until it came to this committee. So, I can understand, having a hot tub myself, wanting some privacy if I had the option to request, a variance like that. I would probably do so if I had the opportunity. I don't see any reason why not. I understand you have an opinion and I respect your opinion. But I don't see any issues with it. So I'm now going to call the question. All in favor? And motion is carried. All right. So next item 5.4 is a recommendation that the Committee of Adjustment approve the following fence variance request. And the recommendation reads that the Committee of Adjustment grant a variance to section 4.12A of bylaw 09-2009 zoning bylaw for the rear and exterior side yard fence at 315 Park Street West to permit a fence with a height of 2.5 meters, that's 8 feet, because the general intent and purpose of the bylaw are maintained. Do I have a mover and seconder for discussion purposes? Craig, Jim, Sean Merriman, Manager of Building and Bylaw, will speak to the report.
Through you, Madam Chair. The property owner requested a site visit with staff to explore options for the replacement of the hedge with the fence on this property. As you know, a hedge is recognized as an acceptable fence in the town. But in this case, the hedge had overgrown and got trying to keep it trimmed and maintained. And due to the fact that it was also next door to the neighbors and they keep it trimmed to keep the thing, the hedge was getting a little rough looking, especially towards the rear. And it is very different than the last fence variance that was requested, in the fact that this fence has been there for a very long time. I'm not sure when the hedge was exactly planted, but the judge from the hedge, well over 20 or 30 years ago that this thing has existed. And what's funny is even though we're granting a variance to increase the height allowed to 8 foot, it shouldn't grow anymore and it should stay roughly at the height it's at, which will be about 6 feet lower than what the hedge is in places already. He's basically, what they're asking basically is the ability to remove the hedge. It will be along the lot line. And they're going to go basically where the hedge is now and the current fence, but it's going to go slightly farther out. The reason being, again, the back unit of the house in the back corner has a bedroom. And the noise from traffic on George Street is building up to the point that it would help with some buffering. Staff provided explanation that the existing hedge was greater in height, and it was also a problem because it's on the exterior side yard of the property. So this property is at the corner of Park and George Street. So basically, normal requirements say that it won't be greater than 2 meters in a rear yard, not greater than 1 meter in an exterior side yard. Especially because as it relates to site triangles as you're coming up to the property. So in this case, we did distribute the thing through to the various departments, but because of the concern with the site triangles, I reached out to operations directly, and me and the operations director actually attended site, and I got to play the role of a fence for a while, but then I got my hands up and everything else, and we basically walked it out to where, not only where he was replacing the hedge, but where he was asking for the additional 15 feet beyond the hedge. And so when we did that, we took a look at the entire thing. So that, and looking at the intersection, how the intersection there is laid up, it is in some ways an ideal intersection in that it's got a four-way stop sign. There's no one going both directions, you know, with through traffic. And the other thing is that due to other vegetation in the area, including large spruce trees and everything else, the actual fence extension will not affect the site triangle whatsoever. So when it was all said and done, as the operations director said, he was not against, he was neutral. It did not, you know, create a level of safety if the fence was extended. No other departments in the town had a concern. And so therefore, when again, basically on the same things, it's fence, it's in a residential one neighborhood. It's about use and enjoyment of your property, which, you know, in the town of Prescott, we always try to encourage. It meets the intent and the consideration of the official plan. I can take you around to several fences in that neighborhood that are well, like that hedge in Hunter, so.
Okay, thank you.
And that is my report, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, is there any discussion on item 5.4? Jim?
Go ahead, Craig.
Did we get any complaints?
Oh, I'm sorry, through you, Madam Chair. As of right now, no.
Okay.
Yeah, because I was down there and I looked at the sight line too, because I was concerned with that also, but yeah, it's pretty good.
Okay.
Thank you, Chair. I'm okay with the requested variance because it's in the rear yard, not on the front yard, it's on the side yard. So if I'm reading the sketch right correctly on page 50 of our report, where it says street or rear lot line at the back, and that is the rear lot line. There's no street there.
No, there's no street back here.
Yes.
There is the street here. This is George.
Okay.
And like I say, the fence will end up being just a smidgen past that basement window that you're seeing when it's fully constructed.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Any issues? No? No, I don't have any issues with it. I'll now call the question. All in favor? Motion is carried. All right. Item 5.5 is a recommendation that the Committee of Adjustment approve the following application request, and the recommendation reads that the Committee of Adjustment provisionally approve consent application SEV 2025-001 for consent to sever a triangle-shaped parcel of land with dimensions of approximately 19.82 meters by 19.43 meters by 4 meters from Lot L at 198 Georgina Street, and add this parcel of land to 898 Florence Street so that the previous requirements of an approved minor variance can be satisfied, subject to the following conditions. Number 1, timeline. As per Section 53 of the Planning Act, the owner applicant has up to 2 years from the date of mailing of the notice of decision to satisfy all conditions of consent. Failure to meet the anniversary date will result in the application lapsing and the file closed. Number 2, certificate of official. That the owner applicant instruct their lawyer to prepare a draft certificate of official and provide a copy to the Secretary Treasurer for review. All conditions of the provisional approval must be satisfied prior to signing and releasing the certificate of official. The owner applicant or their lawyer shall provide a copy of the registered certificate of official for our records. And 3, survey, that the owner applicant shall provide a paper and digital PDF copy of the final registered plan, R-plan, to the Secretary Treasurer for our files, and that the plan meets the general intent of the approved consent sketch. It may be beneficial to have the draft plan provided to the Secretary Treasurer for review prior to registration. Do I have a mover and seconder for discussion purposes? Jim, Craig, and Sean Merriman, Manager of Building and Bylaw, will speak to the report.
Through you, Madam Chair. I'm not sure who on the committee was here last year, but this property was here to request a minor variance. One of the conditions of the minor variance was that footings had to be pinned prior to pour, but prior to closing the building permit file, we actually had to receive a survey confirming the building locations to confirm the setbacks that were granted. I'm not going to get into how it happened, but the surveyors did confirm via email the footings were pinned and they were in the appropriate location. The problem was when they went to then do the building placement on the survey to register it with the town, they realized they had made a mistake and they had not pinned the corners in the appropriate locations. There was a lot of discussion between the owner and the surveyor company, as you can imagine. And a lot of discussion about possible ways to fix it. This, in the end, was to do a lot line adjustment. As you know, both properties were extremely large and had the space to do it. And so the surveyor basically made it as simple as he could by taking a triangle off it, running from the lot lines that are already existing to create the new little triangle shape that will get put onto Florence Street so that the setbacks are maintained that were required. The application was circulated to all town departments. There was absolutely no concerns. And this severance / lot addition, depending on how you want to refer to it, will actually bring it into conformance with the official plan and the minor variances that were passed in relation to the zoning bylaw. And what's funny is the setbacks will actually increase that were approved. So it'll be a bigger setback than there was before. Originally, it was supposed to be 4 feet and 5 feet, and now they will end up with almost 6 feet on each. So slightly better. So.
Okay.
And that is my report, Madam Chair.
Okay. Is there any discussion on item 5.5?
Go ahead, Jim.
Nope.
Yeah, we were there last year and I mean, it's just a mistake.
Yeah, yeah,
Expensive,
yeah.
but
Yeah, expensive mistake for sure.
I'm under the impression, sir.
I would have to think so.
Oh, no, for sure.
I'll now call the question. All in favor? Motion carried. Does anyone have any new business they would like to speak to? No? Any media present? Nope. Item number 8 is adjournment. I have a recommendation that the Committee of Adjustment meeting be adjourned and the time is 5:59 p.m. Do I have a mover and seconder for this motion? Craig, Jim, all in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you.